All right, every week we like to give you a sneak peek at the latest episode of Influencers with Yahoo Finance Editor-in-Chief Andy Serwer. This week, Andy sat down with Berkshire Hathaway Vice Chair Charlie Munger, and they talked about healthcare. Let's see what Munger had to say.
Well, I'm one of the few Republicans you'll ever talk to that thinks we should have a single-payer system, but not one of the type that we're going to get. If you look at the single-payer system of Singapore, it costs 20% of what ours cost, and that's an advanced, civilized, high-income nation. And, of course, the people are a lot healthier. Well, of course, I'd rather spend 80% less and have the people healthier. And, of course, I'd like to have American manufacturers not have this terrible burden of unnecessary health costs that affects their competitiveness in the world. So we have an insane medical system that grew like Topsy by accident with the help of a lot of dumb governmental intervention. Not all of it was dumb, but some of it was. And the system is ridiculous. If a young family has to pay a $5,000 deductible to have a baby, they don't really have medical insurance. It isn't just the Medicare that's wrong. The whole damn system is going wrong. And the amount of unnecessary tests and unnecessary prolongation of inevitable death that's going on is a national disgrace. Of course I don't like it.
All right, interesting stuff. What did you make of those comments?
Well, you know, I think it is interesting. He's such an iconoclast, and he said, I'm the only Republican on the planet who's for a single-payer system. So that's always interesting to hear. He thinks so out of the box. I mean, he really does. And of course, he really speaks his mind. Like, tell us what you really think. It's a national disgrace. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. So that's great to hear. You know, I'd love it if we could actually, you know, see some outcomes. On the other hand, let's not forget that his partner, Warren Buffett, is working with Jamie Dimon and Jeff Bezos to actually do something about healthcare.
Haven.
Because they have Haven, which is their plan to have those three companies, Berkshire Hathaway, JP Morgan, and Amazon, work on a healthcare plan. So they're actually doing something about it. And the other thing is, you guys, is that, you know, healthcare, we don't think about it a little bit right now, but it's going to come back on the front burner as we get towards that 2020 election, believe me. And, you know, Obamacare, the ACA, we're going to hear a lot about that. I think that's a place where the Democrats can really make hay in terms of the national conversation.
Yeah, you know, Andy, you mentioned that Munger really speaks his mind. While we have you, I wanted to ask about another topic that came up in your interview with him. You asked about Coca-Cola and cannabis, and he has said Coca-Cola shouldn't touch that business, and you kind of pushed him on that and said, why not? And something he said stuck out to me. He said, well, Coca-Cola is a brand that makes people happy. And I just thought that was interesting and very representative of really the way that Buffett and Munger go about things. They really believe in big blue chip American brands, and they, you know, buy into them and believe in them for decades. But I think in many ways, some could say that in some examples, look at Kraft Heinz, that thinking doesn't always work anymore nowadays.
You know, it's so funny because I talked to him about that, Dan, and I've pushed him on that, you know, the newspapers are great, you know, they're never going to go, well, that didn't work out. And these branded consumer products, they're also definitely under siege. And, you know, on the other hand, a company like Coke has adapted to a degree, right? I mean, they've got a whole range of drinks now. They're not just core Coke. And I think that also when, you know, I was talking to him about, you know, the company being under pressure because of the sugary drinks, you know, he was saying, well, that does ignore the fact that there are some benefits. And I was like, what's the benefit? He goes, it makes people happy.
Oh, my, see.
But I think that's right. I mean, now, whether you think that's a 50-50 balance or an 80-20 balance or a 95-5 balance, there is something to that. Like, if in other words, if you could just have one Coke a week, it's fine. But too many people have 20 a day, I guess.
Exactly right. Exactly right. All right, Andy, thanks so much.
Thank you.
And you, the viewers, can catch the full episode of Influencers with Andy Serwer today at 5 p.m. Eastern on yahoofinance.com. This week, it's Charlie Munger. You should watch.